Women are important in our society. Not only do they contribute to more economic growth, but also to more cultural diversity. I met with performers, artists and politicians to talk about issues regarding violence towards women, but also how male feminism and female empowerment can contribute in the fight against this violence. I want to know more about this topic, and that's why I asked this question.
What activated me to stand up against violence against women was actually my own personal experience. But that took a while.
I'm a trans woman, and transition really opened up my eyes to things that are specifically related to women and violence. So I had got to experience both sides of the story, of course, and that was a huge motivator.
I identify sometimes as a woman myself, and of course the violence that I have endured or have encountered myself. So I think it's important to stand up against something that touches you directly.
My mother, because I've noticed that what happened between her and my father left such a emotional scar on her that I actually was able to see that was also a form of violence. And the other thing is the statistics around and concerning violence against women.
Women is right now, according to the statistics, 800 million women are dealing with that violence from their partners, from their husbands. And this is just awful. This is, unacceptable amount.
I was in an abusive relationship for years, and fortunately I managed to get out, to survive, which is in itself something that not all women can say. I mean, a lot of women actually die from the hands of their partners. So, but it was something that I never spoke about. And much later I realized what had happened, and that was actually gender-based violence, and that it's not something that's normal, and it's not something we should accept, and it's something that we should do something about.
Pre-transition, I would get calls on my looks because I had a bit of a calf look, and but I never felt unsafe. I just felt mocked. And then post-transition, all said and done, like these days, I get catcalled. I get a lot of things happen, and this one time I even got followed home, and that feels very unsafe.
I'm a member of the LGBT community, so I organize a lot there. And I keep the conversation going around violence against women. But a lot of times we're talking about violence against men. We're never talking about violence against women, or violence against lesbians, or violence against trans women. It's always the violence against men, and men who meet each other through cruising or whatever. And how do we keep that safe? But it's never about the fact about women, about intimidation or discrimination, or where we as women are affected by.
In my project, I will take it, it's an international project. I will take it like in Turkey, Italy, Greece, and Holland together. And I will associate them, that we will see with the project that all that problems. It's not only the violence, but I want to show them the problems of women. And violence is a part of it. And then I believe that when we educate girls and boys together, then we will create something else. We will create an awareness in the future.
So I had the chance and the honor of following this weekend training of Emancipator and Imagine, in which they actually gave us the tools and the information and the knowledge so that we can actually fathom what the problem and the issue actually is. So that was a good starting point for me. And after that, I became this peer educator in which I can actually talk to young people about the subject and maybe guide them towards a certain path that they could choose voluntarily, and actually also choose to stop the violence against women just by looking at themselves and seeing how their role is towards women.
As a member of parliament, I actually decided that right after I was elected that fighting gender-based violence would be one of my key priorities. I wrote an initiative paper, my first initiative paper, and it's called Beyond Shame, Fighting Violence Behind the Front Door. And it contains 10 proposals that I think would help in preventing and fighting violence, intimate partner violence mostly.
For me, as a performance artist, and I'm right now studying, creating my own handwriting, for me it's very important to take my own body, my own history into my work. If I think about my first piece, I was very busy with addressing the objectification of the black female body. I placed myself on a dog chain, and everybody in the audience could walk with me. It was not for me to produce this, but to rather question why people do violence, or why, when a uniform or your mother or your father or whatever is standing in front of you and asking you to do something which in your gut you don't feel is right, why do you still do it?
In my blogs I tend to talk more about more the underlying problems. Like, I think the violence towards women is the end result, but under that we can already see a society that mistreats women. For example, in media, how they are used to sell products and all that, and how they are often actually portrayed as part of the product. It's weird, and it creates a fundamental different treatment towards women.
It's not only a woman problem, but it's a whole. It's a core problem in this world. We have to solve it, and it will bring us to a better society, to a better economical understanding, and better working, better conditions. And if you keep only one side, one gender out of it, you don't have enough power. You cannot go further. It's a contribution together. It has to be together. So it's so important to get also male, men next to us for working together about the problem, because it's not a problem for only one person or one gender.
Men have the tendency to do is to actually take over things and say, well, we're the men, we mean it well, so we're going to take over this and actually start empowering women. It's not going to work. That is up to women, and what we as men should do is follow women, follow their lead, follow their examples, listen to their stories, take their stories in. I mean, we're not going to be able to tap into everything as men that women experience, but at least we're able to feel how much pain it causes them, and that is also able to create a change.
I think that's the first thing that I have to do, is empower myself and find my own way in being, as I'm doing. Second of that, to keep the conversation going. I think it's very important to keep the conversation going. And I think the moment that I know, or the moment that I've constructed how to be a woman, or how to navigate through this gender, I can be a representation in this sense.
From the standpoint of Sex Matters, I say we are already enforcing it the way we want to, with education towards younger people. And not just about sex, but also about gender, and most importantly, consent. Like, the more aware people are of these subjects, the more it empowers not just women, but also men in being able to are who they want to be.
There's so many things you can actually do, but a lot of people don't know where to begin. And well, I use my position to help people get started. And if there's only one person who, because of me, you know, thinks, okay, you know what, I'm gonna try to make a difference, then my mission is already accomplished. So yeah, that's one contribution I try to make.